Hey everyone, Tabashima here. We're just going to wait a few minutes so we can let some other people join us. I hope everybody's doing really good. We have a beautiful sunny day today. So happy. It's been quite cloudy, gloomy-ish for quite a while now. So really enjoying the sun today. And yesterday, actually, I think for the last couple of days, we've had some really nice weather. So that's really good. Hi, Judy. Hi, Jackie. For those that watch Tracy on Saturday mornings, I don't know, my mind's going. I wanted to make sure that I didn't interfere with other designers that paint that have classes today. So I knew Tracy did, so I went and looked in her thing. It was 12 o'clock, and I went, oh, that's great. I can start mine at 9, and then we finished. Not thinking that Tracy's Eastern time. So we're ending up at the same time. So I apologize to Tracy. Yeah. So hi, Mary and Jean. Hey, Phyllis. I'm so excited to do this little project. I love Keeper of the Pollen. I thought it just turned out so cute. Everybody will be getting, they're all being shipped. I'm hoping tomorrow. They're all packaged. Everything's done. They're all in kits. So yours will come like this. So this is the main surface, and it's 10-inch round. And then all the little wood pieces will come like this. So you don't have to worry about them breaking or anything. And then this is the stamp set that goes with it. Hi, Dee Dee and Keiko. Hi, Diane. And then this is just the little package, and this is all the little stuff that make the bow, the tag, the little antennae thingy. So yeah, so this is what your complete kit looks like. I had to wait. It was on pre-order because I had to order all these stamps, and I think I ordered like 65 or 70 of them. So I had to wait for them to come. Of course, I have no idea how many I was going. I initially just ordered 20, thinking 20 might be enough. Yeah, it wasn't. So I did finally have them all. So they are all going out tomorrow. Hoping tomorrow. And this is for the people who just ordered Keeper of the Pollen. For the people that are the members of my subscription group, yours will all go out with all your other orders on I'm hoping Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm just waiting for Deb. She's doing my cutting, and I'm supposed to have them all on Monday. Hi, Ingrid. Hi, Denise. Hey, Bunny. Thanks, everybody, for watching. This is it's actually quite an easy piece. It might look a little bit more complicated, but it is a little better. Hey, Rosemary. And I have the pattern, and I have it all typed up, and I'm going to put it up in the group so everybody can have the pattern. The only thing I wanted to wait until after I painted it today, because with this one, when I repaint it, I just want to check a few of the colors that I did, just because of some substitutes that I want to be able to show you. So before I put it up, I just wanted to make sure that I'm doing it right. Hi, Denise. Hey, Sandy. Yeah. I don't know if Roxanne's going to be joining me. I thought she might. Corrine, I did send her an invite because she comes in and she helps me with the comments and everything in the group. Seeing if I can find me. Just have my tablet out too so that I can see. I did figure out how to do it so that I am not mirrored. I'm the way it's supposed to be. Hey, Marilyn and Eileen. Yeah. So I already base coated it because you don't really need to see me base coat a little round circle. But I just wanted to tell you, so what I do, when I have a larger surface that's just flat, I think this might be a little crooked, that's just flat like this, whether it's square, rectangle, circle, oval, whatever, I will often base coat it with my little sponge roller. It just goes on so smoothly, so evenly. It all looks really good. It's nice and flat, so you get a really nice finish on it. And again, it's all even. It's just so fast. So this is a little hint, little trick. Use this. These are great for these larger surfaces. And I just picked mine up at the dollar store. So they're very cheap too. What time is it? I might get started. Is everybody doing good out there? I hope so. I have a cold. My hubby's had a cold for a couple weeks. And I thought, oh, I've avoided it. Yay. And then yesterday I started feeling the funky cold feeling. So yeah, I'm quite sure I'm coming down with it. So if I start sneezing or anything, I apologize. So I'm just going to turn this around and we're going to get to this. Just going to switch this around like so. Sorry. Put my light on it. Move this forward a little bit, I think. So I have been up a little bit more. I have been doing a lot of my classes through Zoom. But I tell you, I'm finding that the quality of the Zoom is not good. It's blurrier. The colors are not as sharp. I'm just not happy with it. So I am going to start doing them all on live now. Okay. I think that's right. So I've already base coated this as I showed you, and I used my little roller brush. This is what I base coated it with. Now this is Home Decor Chalk and this is Oatmeal. This is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful color. When I got it, I thought, oh, Oatmeal, this is going to be kind of a, like a Decor Desert Sand or a Decor Chalky Timeless. No, it's green. I'm not sure why it's green oatmeal, but it is. It's a beautiful color. It goes with almost every other color. It's perfect for spring, summer, winter, fall. It's a beautiful color. If you get a chance to try it, again, is Chalk Oatmeal. What I do now when I get these, because these are kind of a pain in the butt to use, right out of the jar like this, especially if you want to roll it or anything and you're trying to pour some out. Deb, my friend Deb, she suggested using these bottles. So you can buy, the little plastic bottles with the lids, squirt bottles, right? I found these at the dollar store. They're, like mustard and ketchup containers. They're really, really good because they're very, very pliable. And so which makes it just really easy to squirt. But these are fabulous. You know how when you have anything in a jar like this and it gets all, no matter what you do, see the top gets a little crusty. I hate that. It doesn't happen with this. You can squirt out as little or as much as you want. You don't waste any. You don't waste any of the paint. I love it. And then you just can put on here a little sticker on it that says whatever paint it is. So I'm switching all mine over to these little bottles, and they don't dry out. I just love them. So there's another little tip. If you have bottles like this of the chalky paint and they're in the jars or, these taller bottles, whatever, put them in one of these plastic squirt bottles. Just make sure that they're really pliable. Some of them are really stiff. Make sure they're very pliable. So there's a little hint for you. One little tip. Now I have already base coated this, as I said, But I like to give it a nice little sanding after I've base coated it. So I'm just going to take my my sander. Now this is 320 grit paper. I would make sure you use really fine sandpaper, at least 320 grit, because we just want to very, very softly sand this. And this just is going to even it out and give me a nice smooth surface to work with. And I do like a nice smooth surface to work with. And I've just put a piece of paper towel under it just to catch any of the dust, because we know there's going to be dust. If you press hard, you can get sanding lines on it. So just make sure that you press lightly on it and that your sandpaper is clean. You don't have any ridges of dried paint or anything on them where they might have built up. I'm just going to use a piece of paper towel just to get the excess off. And we're going to get rid of this. I just took the dusting off of it, and I'll use this again. I'll just turn it over. Now, what I want to do next is I want to soften this just a little bit more. Come down just a little bit. I want to soften this color a little bit. It's a little bit harsh for me still. So I'm going to take, now you can take warm white bleached sand. We just want a nice little, not really nice soft color to dry brush this with, just to soften it. Claudia, hey Roxanne, did you know that I sent you an invite? If you go into your Facebook notifications, I think you can come right in with me. I'm not sure though. Maybe go out, Claudia, and come back in again. Yeah, shut down and try again. Thanks, Roxanne. You're a sweetheart. Or Roxanne, I think, is going to keep an eye on the comments and help me. So yay. Now you can use, like I said, warm white bleached sand. In Folk Art, they have one called Vintage White, which I really like too. And these are just for, just to soften the surface. I'm trying to see if I have my Vintage White here to show you. Here it is. Okay, so this is Vintage White, and this is warm white. This one is even a warmer. This Vintage White is a warmer color. So I might try it. I like using bleach sand, but I have run out of bleach sand, so I have to try and find some more. And I will, somewhere. Oh, good. Thanks, Claudia. I'm glad you got in okay. Just trying to get the plastic off this. So I'm going to take a little bit of this Vintage White, and it is a really pretty creamy color, as you can see. Now this is my favorite dry brushes. This is the Palmer, and it's a 2-inch like filbert brush. It is fabulous for dry brushing larger surfaces, and this is from Dynasty. Just really want to work it in to the bristles. Now, when I dry brush this, I want to make sure that I have almost everything off of it. Can we send it to you from the USA? Yes, and that's where I think I'm going to get it from. This is from the States. I keep losing the picture and audio also. Arlene, just go out and try and come back in now. So I'm going to, now I like to pounce this on a little bit. You can, instead of doing a really nice rubbing motion, I like to pounce this on, and it just gives a little bit more texture you can see to it, which is what I want. So just kind of pounce this on a bit. Make sure again you don't have too much. Just use a piece of paper towel to take the excess off. And this really softens the surface, and it adds a little bit of texture and detail to it. Now I'm going to take my sanding block and just very softly just go over that so that my surface is smooth again. And like I said, just very softly. Now I'll take it. Just wipe it off again with my paper towel. Okay, so now I have a really nice smooth surface to, oh, yeah, oh, Rhonda, oh, you mean of the oatmeal? Best stuff. It's my favorite color. I use it all the time. Now I'm going to take old paper. So these are the distress oxides that I used on this project. Black soot, walnut stain, frayed burlap, and old paper. Of course, you don't have to have all of these colors. Whatever you normally use to distress is what you can use. You just don't want them too harsh. So start out really lightly when you're distressing, and then you can build it up. These are the ones that colors that I used. So I'm, so hi Jennifer. So like I said, these were all on pre-order. When you ordered them, they were all on pre-order because I had to wait for all the stamps to come in. The stamps are all in now. All the kits are packed. I'm going to be putting them in the boxes today and tomorrow, so they'll all go out. I'm hoping tomorrow. They'll all be out tomorrow. So again, this is Distress Ink Old Paper. Love this color. And I'm going to take the stamp that I'm sending you. I have a little owie. I always have a little owie. Now I want the honeycomb stamp. Here. I'm just going to put it on one of these silicone pads. I'm going to load this up. And I'm going to randomly start pouncing over here. Now, when you do this, if you find that this old paper is too light, you can go into the frayed burlap. If you're not using any of the distress inks, hi Donna, if you're not using one of the distress inks and you're using paint, I would use a Hauser medium green. It's just, it'll go really good with this color. It's not too dark. And again, I am just stamping this all over. And I don't want it to show too much. It's supposed to be very soft. Just a just add a little bit more interest onto the background. This is not to be a big standout background. Just very soft. Okay, so that's all I have to do. And you can see the background is all stamped with little honeycombs, but it's still very soft. Oh, hi, Laura. Yes. Oh, it's Lori's. Oh, I saw that, didn't I? Yes, I saw that it was her birthday. Happy birthday. Okay, so I have this done. Now I'm going to actually take this stamp while I have it out. And I'm going to take a little piece of baby white and I'm just going to wipe off some of that ink. I just want to keep it clean. And I will be using it again, but I'm going to just put it together so I not only keep it clean, but I know where it is because I have a tendency to lose things. Shocking, is that? Maybe I have a tendency. Okay. Now, if you find after you've stamped and say you use one of the paints with pink colors, and it's too dark, you think, oh, that's too dark, I don't want it to stand out that much. Again, just take your sander and really lightly sand over it, and that'll soften it. But just press really lightly, especially if you're using a color other than I do. Start out by pressing very, very lightly the first time, because you can always make it more. Always make it darker, add a little bit more, but you can't make it lighter, unfortunately. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is I want to splatter this a little bit. So I'm going to use that same color that I use for when I dry brush the background. So this is the vintage white. You can use warm white. Warm white works perfectly. I found don't use like a bright white. I just find it's a little bit too harsh. So I'm just going to use this. I'm going to take just an old toothbrush. You can use a Brent brush. You can use a splattering brush. And I'm going to splatter this. I'm just going to go and get some more water. I don't think I have quite enough. Maybe I do. I'll try it, see if I have enough. Now, I got it damp, and I'm going to just take off the excess moisture. Pick up my white. And I'm just going to do a little splatter on my hand just to see how it is. I need a little bit more water. It's not damp enough to really pick up that paint. Okay, I'm going to try this. And I'm just going to splatter this over the surface. So just a really soft splattering you can see over the surface here. I'm going to put that over here. Okay, so I'm going to put this to the side now. We will be distressing around the edge, but I just want to wait for this to dry. And I'm going to take the honeycomb. I just started using this, so let's see how easy this opens up, shall we? Tell you, it really sucks this in, so hopefully this will keep these protected really well. when you get it, if your cardboard is in good shape, I would keep it. These are actually good for a lot of things. You can kind of rip them and make projects out of them, which I think I am going to try that one of the classes because it looks very cool. So this is what it comes. You'll get the honeycomb, the 3 sunflowers, the bee, the wing, a few little honeycomb pieces, the heart, and the beehive. So the first thing we're going to do is the honeycomb. Put all those pieces in one spot so that we don't lose them, and keep the cardboard. Now I'm going to take a little piece of paper towel. You can use a little piece of wax paper. I just wanted to put something under this so that it doesn't get all over my parchment sheet. Oh, Arlene, that's too bad. Arlene's having trouble. Oh, yes. Yeah, Arlene, Claudia switched to her iPad. Maybe try that. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow ochre, and I'm going to base coat the honeycomb. Now, when I have a smaller surface or a bumpy surface like this, I like to use the makeup sponges to base coat them with. It goes really easily. You don't have any globs of paint anywhere. So just grab your makeup sponge and start pouncing. And I like the dark, so when you laser cut, it almost kind of burns the wood, so it gives a really dark edges. And I love that on a lot of these when you're doing kind of vintagey or older looking pieces. And when we do this, it's kind of kind of a crapshoot of colors, right? So I'm using like 3 or 4 different colors on this, and it's going to be just pouncing with the colors until I just like the look of it. So I'm going to show you what I do, and then you can take it with your honeycomb. I just want to make sure I get it on all the pieces. Okay, that's good. I'm just going to dry it off. So this is yellow ochre for the honeycomb. This will be the first layer. I just want to again dry this off. And just check to make sure that it's covered really well. Might add a few little here's and there's. And then I just honestly start fiddling with it. So I'm going to use a bit of true ochre, raw sienna. I might add a touch of burnt sienna and a little bit of light buttermilk. And it all depends on how it's looking as I do it. If I think it's too dark, I'll lighten it up with a little bit of light buttermilk. If I think it's too light, I'll darken it up with some of the deeper yellows. So let's start with true ochre. So again, this one is true ochre. And I'm going to take some raw sienna and some burnt umber. And where's my raw sienna? Oh, burnt sienna. I lost the burnt sienna by the looks of it. Just let me grab my raw sienna. I grabbed all my colors. I missed that one. Here we are. This one's raw sienna. And again, I'm just going to use my sponge, and I'm going to pick up some tree ochre. And I'm just going to randomly start pouncing over the surface. And you can see it's just kind of random. I do like to get along the edges. And there is no rhyme or reason. I mean, there's no line drawing or anything to show you how to do it. Just kind of pounce some of the color on. So you can see it over here. And again, just randomly pounced it on. That's the true ochre. And I think that's fine for now. These makeup sponges are fabulous for doing this with. So I'm just looking at it and seeing where I might like to darken just a bit. I think that's all I'm going to do. Now I want to add just a little bit of pop to it. So I'm going to take a little bit of that vintage white again that we used for the splattering of the background and the dry brushing of the background. And I'm going to take my makeup sponge. Now you can use this, you can use like buttermilk, any of them will work, but I don't want too much of this. I just want a very light dab of it on areas. And it's just going to lighten it up a little bit. I'm going to get my circle so I can show you what I mean. Let's get some of this out of the way here. So this is our circle, and you can see the honeycomb. So when you look at it this way, you can really see the color on it. Now, if you like yours a little bit brighter, you can take, say, moon yellow. So this is moon yellow. And I'll just show you what a little bit of moon yellow will do. And this brightens it quite a bit. Go away. So I'm just going to add a little bit of the moon yellow. So it's just taking some of these yellows and rusty browns. And you can see how it's brightened it, the yellow. And this is again the moon yellow. There, and that's all there is to the honeycomb. It's really easy, and it's just by eye. It's how dark or how light you like it. Those are the colors that I use. And again, I used the makeup sponge, and I just pounced a little bit on here and there. So I'm just going to take this now, and I'm going to just put this to the side. This, you don't need this there. I'm trying to stay really neat and tidy, because I tell you, I start out really good with this beautiful big surface, and then as I'm painting and designing and putting everything on, my work area gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So I'm like this little tiny work area with crap spread everywhere. So I'm trying not to do that. So again, the honeycomb colors were yellow ochre, true ochre, raw sienna, burnt sienna. I had a little bit of moon yellow. You can use a little bit of light buttermilk. Start with the base color, and then just go higher up. So start with yellow ochre, go to true ochre, raw sienna, burnt sienna, and then you can brighten it up with some moon yellow, or you know any of those the colors that are close to those colors. You don't have to use those exact colors. Be here for you. A lot of people don't have a million colors, so so the next thing we're going to do is the sunflowers, and you'll see, yay, that I got the lines all scored on so that it would be really easy for you. And I'm going to use moon yellow to base coat these with. Now I like to base coat with, Chris Hoy has these brushes, they're stencil brushes. I love these brushes for base coating, and I always base coat with them. So I'm going to base coat all of these sunflowers, and you can actually even use the makeup brush, the makeup sponge if you want. And I'll show you. If you use the makeup sponge, you don't have to worry about it getting all over these dark edges that are so nice when you're trying to do a piece that's a little vintagey looking or older looking. Just adds a little bit to the distressed look. And again, this is moon yellow. Is this banging here? We're going to end up using the same colors that we used in the honeycomb, just not as much. I'm never tidy. I know. I start out so good, and I keep telling myself, how do other artists do it? How do they end up making it, keeping everything look so good? Apparently they don't. You just don't see all the mess around. Like you don't see a whole bunch of my mess, but I tell you ladies, it is pretty darn bad by the end of a lesson. And then I look at it and I think it's going to take me longer to clean up than it did to do the whole lesson. So again, I use the makeup sponge, but you can also use any kind of brush that you are used to base coating with. I love doing sunflowers. They're so pretty. They make me so happy. Yeah, I love the flowers too, Denise. Is my sister still on, or did she go away hiding? It's a long weekend here in Canada. It is in the States too, isn't it? Isn't it President's Day on Monday or something? Is that this week or is that next week? We have a long weekend this weekend. Oh yeah, my sister's there. I did get my room cleaned and organized yesterday. I went out. I did some shopping. We went to their next town to check out the dollar stores and a few things there. I was able to pick up a few things, but really not much, unfortunately. Now, again, I'm going to I always really lightly sand after I base coat anything. just to bring it back to a really nice smooth surface. And make sure you always use a really fine grit of sandpaper. See, I am really trying to be good, ladies. I'm trying to stay super organized here. Keep all my paints in one spot. Usually I put them down. I go to use them again. I have no idea where I put them because they've fallen over. They're in. It drives me a little bit crazy. Okay. So I did one coat, and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I actually need another coat on here. It needs 2 coats. So I'm going to just go over again. I'm going to use the brush this time. And again, this is Moon Yellow. So just check and see how heavy your first coat is, whether you need to do a second. With the sunflowers, I like the base to be really opaque, like just all covered. Sometimes I like to be able to see a bit of the background through it or the surface or through it, not with these. And weren't we clever putting on the score lines for you? I thought my ladies are going to be so happy that the score lines are on there. I just love this little keeper of the pollen piece. I sat here last night typing up the pattern, going, what color did I use on that? So I was sitting there with the pieces of wood matching the colors, getting out the paint, going, oh yeah, I did this. I did that because it's been a while. And I usually try to type up the pattern right away so I don't forget. Yeah. Unfortunately, I was not that intelligent yesterday. Okay. Okay, so these are dry. I'm going to take my gator. So this is just my little gator. And I'm going to just rough up some of these edges. Sand them a little bit. Now, when you do it, see some of these tips, you don't want them to break off. So I always like to support these with my finger underneath them as I give them a just, and when I say really light, we're just going to do this really lightly. I don't want a big, I don't want you to take a whole bunch of it off. I'm just taking a little bit of it off, just so that when I put my shading on, it's just going to add a little bit more interest to it. There. Now, just before I take that dust off, I'm going to use my larger, my 320 grit, and just go over it again because we did that other base coat. I just want to take that dust off again. What are you doing today, Roxanne? Anything? Anything exciting? My poor sister was work sick yesterday. We all know what that means, don't we? She was so sick, she just had to stay home and kind of hang around all day, weren't you, honey? You're going to Prince George. Are you going to dollar stores? Are you going to Michael's? Are you going to get your passport? Oh, you can't do your passport thing, can you? I'm going to shade this now. And I'm going to shade in a few different colors. So I'm going to do True Ochre, a little bit of Raw Sienna, and then probably even a little bit of the Burnt Umber. So let's start with Yellow Ochre. Oh, sorry, True Ochre. Well, I'll get it. So a little bit of True Ochre and a little bit of Raw Sienna. A little bit of Burnt Umber. And again, I don't need very much, just a little bit. I'm going to use my angle brush to shade with. This is, again, Chris's angle brushes. This is our 1/2 inch. So I think I'm going to use her 1/2 inch. I ordered a whole bunch of new brushes from them. I cannot wait to get them. I am an abuser of the brushes. Okay, just going to get it wet. Pick up some of that True Ochre and just work it in. Now, you can decide, the score lines are here. You can decide whether you want the shading inside or out, but I'm going to kind of dance down these score lines. So I want this petal to stand out, so I'm going to shade on the opposite side of it, the outside edge. Dollarama, ooh, have fun shopping at Dollarama, honey. I did go yesterday. Oh, there's something I want you to pick up for me when you go, or look and see if they've got it. For when you come down in March, you can give it to me. She's coming for a visit, everybody. So you can see I'm just kind of picking the ones that I want the flower petals to, where I want them to kind of be overlapping. So you can see this one is going to overlap this one. So I've shaded just on that outside edge. And you see how I shade? I lift my brush. I just kind of dance my brush to the edge. And I'm going to put a little bit here and there along the top of some of these petals. I'm going to go to the next one now. And I might shade this one a little bit different. I'm not going to sit here and stare at this one and try and match it up. No, I want it to be just a little bit different. So there is no wrong, right? There's no wrong. You're either going to have a petal standing out or a petal being overlapped by another one. And it's just whichever way you end up shading is how it's going to be. And again, I call it dancing. I'm dancing my brush over it, and I very, very lightly, I barely touch the surface when I'm doing any of this, because I can always go back and add more color, but if I do too much, it's really hard to get rid of it. So just start out by doing it really lightly, and then you can come back and add more if you need to. I'm going to put that one there. Then we're going to go to our last sunflower. And this whole middle section is going to be covered by a very large button. But when you look at it, you can see where some petals are overlapping others, and then you can shade accordingly. So you know this one is overlapping these two just by the shape of them. So that's where I would do my, oops, a little bit too much water on that. So that is where I would do my shading. So when you, the petal that you want to stand out, shade on the outside edge of the scoring. And I really, bit too much water still. I really barely pick up hardly any paint. There. So these ones are all done with our first color. I'm just going to give them a quick dry. You're going to Dollarama? Yeah, I want you to get me some of those cardboard squares, honey. See these? I'll show you what they look like. I'll show you what they look like. Oh, I'm drawing my paint here. Yeah, so I'll show you what they look like. And then if you would look for me, because I cleared out all the ones here and all the ones in West Kelowna of those. But they're great for shipping. Okay, now I'm going to pick up some raw sienna and I'm going to deepen this shading here and there, not all of it. I just want to deepen it, some of it. I'm just going to pick some spots and just kind of dance a little bit more of that color. And I am very lightly doing this. And I'm going to do it on all of these. Just adding some really pretty color to these sunflowers. And we'll do the last one. So just where you've already shaded, you can just add a little bit more color to them with this raw sienna, and really not much. Make sure it's really soft. Just because you're shading something or adding some depth of color to it doesn't mean that you have to be really heavy with it. Just be really soft. Okay, and then we're going to come back with a little bit of raw sienna and just add, yeah, you have to have a really light touch. And it's, a lot of people think that to add more color, you have to use more paint and to press firmer with your brush. And that's, apply more pressure with your brush. And that's not true. You can add just a very light amount of color to your brush and you just build it up in layers and just use a really soft touch. It's all about building layers, not trying to get it all done in one coat. Okay, now I want to add a little bit of this burnt sienna because I love the color of it. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this burnt sienna and just randomly, take that off. Had a little bit on my brush. I'm just going to add a little bit, like I said, here and there. Now these, of course, are not meant to look exactly like, real sunflowers. I'm making them a little bit more, I'm using some artistic what's the word? Artistic. I'm doing my own thing. I'm doing my own thing, ladies. It's what it comes down to. Okay, so I have my 3 sunflowers, and I like the way that they look right now, so I'm going to not add any more of the darker color at the moment. Going to dry them off, and I'm going to add a little bit of light buttermilk to them, and then I'll probably add just a, yes, thank you, licensing. I tell you, gotten older, I lose my words. Artistic licensing. Thank you, Keiko. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of light buttermilk to the petals that are overlapping the other ones. So you can see this one is overlapping these two, and I've shaded on the outer edge. So I'm going to add a little bit of buttermilk to the edges that are not shaded. And I'm just going to dance it, and again, very, very light touch, not adding a whole lot. I just want to brighten that up a little bit. Oh, tummy gurgling. It's all part of this cold my husband gave me. Watch, it's going to bother my tummy and everything. I just know it. I hate being sick. When Zara was here at Christmas, she got a cold. And being Nana, you know, I'm like, I'm immune. I'm grandma. I can touch her and pick her up. It's not going to give me a cold. Well, of course I got it. And that was in January. And now February, I get my husband's dang cold. Ugh. Not happy. Just not happy. I'm just adding a little bit of this light buttermilk here and there. And then I'm going to come back in with some of the deeper colors too. I'm going to dry that off. These take longer to do than any of them. Okay. And then I'm just going to come back in. I think I'll pick with the burnt sienna. And just do some of these edges again. I'm not so worried about doing really close to the center because it's all going to be covered with the button. And again, just really lightly, very softly adding some of this color. And really just kind of dancing it along. Don't be afraid just to move your brush, lift it off the surface. Dance it around. The secret is just to be very soft. You going out, honey? I think my honey's going to the store. Get gas, actually. And I suggested he might like to go to Tim Hortons and get me an apple fritter. So I think it's pretty safe in saying I'm going to get an apple fritter. Okay, so I'm just going to put these aside for a minute while we do the buttons. So these are going to be the centers of the sunflower. 1, 2, 3. These ones say handmade with love on them, because hopefully you are handmaking it with love. Okay, so I'm going to base coat these centers with raw sienna. Come here, you. And again, I'm just going to use my little sponge again. What did she say? Mine brought the flu. Oh, I know. Everybody's crud. It's crud time, I tell you. COVID has now dropped to my lungs. Oh, Claudia, I'm so sorry. She says all I'm supposed to do is rest and watch you. Well, I'm glad you get to rest and watch me and have a really good excuse, honey. I'm so sorry. I can't. I'm sick. I have to just sit. You get better really soon, Claudia. My goodness. Hate that. There's so much. And you can see I am not making sure that the surface is completely covered. I don't want that. I want it to be perfectly imperfect. Okay, I'm just going to dry these off. Come here. Now you can do them this way, or you can do them so they're more rounded. These kind of dip in a little bit. This side they're rounded on. So it's completely up to you, whichever way you prefer. Now I want to shade these little babies. So I'm going to take a bit of asphaltum and a little bit of lamp black. Sitting here going on. Where did I put my lamp black? I had it. So a little bit of asphaltum, and we're just going to dance a little bit of this color around the edge. Love asphaltum. So I'm just going to add a little bit of this around the edge. And I'm not going to completely go around it, as you can see, kind of dancing it a bit. I like that it looks imperfect. That's what I love about this technique, about dancing them. You can really control the idea of making it look not perfect. I don't like it when you sit there and you go around and you have this perfectly even shading line and stuff. No, I like it when they're very uneven looking, and it's just more natural. Now, I just want to grab my lamp black. I had it here. Where did I put it? My eye is not catching it. So, I use folk art black. It doesn't matter what black you use, just use a black. As soon as I get this open and start doing it, my eye is going to catch the black. We're going to do the same thing on this, but with black. So I picked up some black, and I also want to just kind of dance a little bit of this on, and just really softly. A little bit too much black. And I would just put a very, very small amount of black on your brush. You do not need to use much. I'm going to go down this side just a little bit. And again, just dance that. I'm going to add a little bit just along the edge there. And I'm not going to do all the way around. Just going to add a little bit here and there like that. And remember, if you do it this way and you go, I don't like it that way, I like it the way, you know, I always do it, and do it your way. I mean, you don't have to do things exactly the way that I do them. So these are going to be the centers, but you see how they look? I love that they look like this. And these will go, so you can see how they're going to go on here. Don't they look pretty like that? Now I'm actually going to glue these on. And then after I glue them on, I'll know, because I have to shade around here and add some little striations. So this way I'm going to know exactly where I want to do it. So I'm going to take my art glitter glue, best glue. I always used Aleene's glue, but I really like this glue. And then I can just put this aside while it dries. And then we'll come back to these. Putting the paints in. I have a little tray here with my paint in. I'm trying to be really good and put them all back. So I'm just going to take these and I'm going to put them to the side. And I may actually add even a little bit more color to them in a bit. We'll see. Okay. All right, so that's the sunflowers for now. We will come back to those. We're going to do the bee and the wings now. So the wings, I used sheepskin, which is a deco art. You can use like a warm white, a vintage white. There's a color that I found that I really liked. If I can find it. It's, you know, I got this at Walmart. It's called Momenta, and it's chalk. And this is called Swan White. It's so pretty. So just find yourself a nice, pretty white, maybe with a little bit of creamy to it, to do your wings. I'm gonna get another. These will go into a bottle because I hate the goopy. Get that off my finger. I have baby wipes here and I still get everything on my hand. Okay, so I'm going to use, let's see if I have any more of these left. I'd have to get a few more out. So I'm going to again use the sponge. Bounce it on. And I like this because it's leaving the burnt edges where the lasers cut really nice and dark. And I'll probably do 2 coats of this. And I did put a little score line in between the wings for you on each side. going to quickly dry that. So I was doing a lesson the other day on Herbie, and so my sister, she always helps me when I do my lessons. I drive her absolutely crazy. She said she wants to scratch her eyes out when she watches me fluff my bows. She says, you take too long fluffing your bows, drives me crazy. I want to scratch my eyes out. All I can think of is what is she doing? Why is she taking so long? Stop fluffing the bows. It drives her crazy. And as I was fluffing my bows on Herbie the other day, on Thursday, I was thinking, this is going to drive Roxanne crazy. She's sitting on the other end. She can't say anything. She's probably just wanting to kill me. Well, apparently she was, because she told me right afterwards. She wants to scratch my eyes out. Isn't that right, honey? So when it comes to making bows, I'm sorry, ladies, that if I take a little bit too long fluffing my bows, but I like doing bows and I like them looking the way I want them to look. And sometimes I fluff too long. So, yeah. I'm sure those who watch me all the time have noticed that I spend an inordinate amount of time fluffing the bows. Apparently, accordingly to my sister anyway. She's so funny. Aren't you, Roxanne? Are you still there? I can always count on my sister. I know. She's not even answering. I wonder if she went away. She must have gone away. She'll watch this back and she'll say something. A little bit right there. Cover that up. Okay, so you can see, hopefully, that these are not perfectly even. There is a little bit of, you know, of surfacey, not really the surface, but layers aren't perfectly even. That's fine, because this is going to be really distressed. So I'm fine with it looking like that. I am going to take my sander and again just smooth out that surface. And take off the dust. So first we're going to do these wings. Now, there isn't a whole lot to these wings, but I'm using the 320 to go around the edges. And I'm just, so you can see how I'm just concentrating this more on the edges. And I'm just roughing them up a little bit, just taking a little bit of that paint off the sides. I would normally use my gator for this, but it's got more of a lower grit on it. And I wanted to use the 320 to go around these edges. Love how these wings turned out. I thought they turned out so pretty after I had done them. Okay, so you can see how I've done these edges. How there, I've removed some of the paint just along these edges. Get rid of that dust. Come here, put that right there. My little sanders back where they're supposed to be so I don't get lost. Now I distress this using 2 different colors. So I used black soot. And I use, it's the Distress Oxide Black Soot. I don't know if there's a Distress ink. If there is, it's too dark. If you don't have the black soot, you can use black. So you can use any of the black, acrylic blacks to do it. Just please make sure your brush is really, really, really dry, that you remove as much paint as you can, and then just very softly distress with it. I'll do one little bit for you just so you can see what I mean, because a lot of people don't have this black. Oh, there's a brush. I like to use these brushes. These are ink blending brushes. You can get them Amazon, Michaels, Hobby Lobby. You can get them on Temu. You can get them at the dollar store. I got this one at the dollar store and the Dollar Tree in the beauty section. So you can get these anywhere. So I'm just picking up a really small amount of black and really working it into these bristles. And then I'm going to take a piece of paper towel and make sure that there is hardly anything coming off of it. And then just go over the edge. And if it doesn't look like, well, there's hardly anything, that's okay. You can go back and add more. But if you put too much on, it's going to be too dark. So you can just go around the whole thing with this black. Or if you're using the black soot, it's the same thing. Just pick up a little bit of the black soot and go around the edges. I like to rub the brush, the piece along the pad. So again, you can use either. I like this black soot. It almost looks like it has a really deep, deep, deep midnight blue to it. So I do really like it. Okay, so this is what the wings look like with just the black soot on them. So I'm going to take the walnut stain. And I just want to add a little bit of walnut stain in places. But it's not only softens the black a bit, it changes the color of the black a bit. See if you can see. And I just like this little difference of color in it. I just kind of look at it and think, oh, where you might want to dirty it up just a little bit more. Just going to put the inks aside. If you don't have the walnut stain, I'm trying to think of what color you can use instead. Probably use you can use asphaltum. Just again, such a small amount, okay? So for the black soot, you can use any black, and for the walnut stain, just use asphaltum. But again, make sure that there's hardly anything left on your brush. Work it off on a piece of paper towel so you can hardly see anything, and then do it. You can always come back and add a little bit more. So yeah, I'm going to now just sand this again, just a little bit. That's it. That's all I wanted to do, was just a very light amount like that. And then I'm going to take my liner. So this is my 18-aught liner. This is also one of Chris's brushes. I want to pick up a little bit of the black. And I just want to add a little bit of feathering to these wings. So you can see I'm adding just a little bit of broken line to it. I don't want these to be all this perfect line. I'm just kind of wiggling it like that. Now, if you are not good with your liner, use one of the pens. Got one right here. So this one works really well. This is Fenged. I can't even pronounce it. Not even going to try, but you can use one of these too. And again, just make it a little bit of a broken line. Like that. So you can use lamp black, use one of your ink pens. For those that are going to ask, what can you seal over the inks? I don't seal anything afterwards because I get kind of a reaction to just about practically everything I've tried to seal with. So I don't seal over them. So I can't tell you. I know some of the inks and that they'll run. So I think it's something that I would try on a separate little piece of something and then do it. So I would always try it out first. Okay. Now this is all I'm going to do to these wings. And so I'm going to put them aside and I'm going to get the bee. Now the bee, oh, the pen is, it says 0.38 millimeters. For Americans, I honestly do not know what that means in inches, because we don't do that. Let me see, here in Canada. So 1, 2, 3 is 1, I don't know. I do not know, ladies. It is really tiny. Oh, this is, look, isn't this weird? This is a funny name. Feng Taiwan. I use micron pens too. So, see if I have one right here. Yeah. So I use these, and you can get these all over the place. These are just micron, Pigma micron, archival ink. They don't run. And I always use the 0.05 when I'm making my lines, my fine lines. So this is another alternative. Deb, oh, look, I got ink paint on it. Deb gave me this one to try, and it's a beautiful pen. But either of these are fine. So I use a 0.05. Oh, the microns, they come in millimeters too? Maybe because they're so tiny, eh? So either that one with the really funny name, or I use the 0.05. Yeah, or yeah, that's what I use. Okay, so this is the actual bee now. I'm going to do it in light buttermilk. And I'm going to paint the whole thing except the head in the light buttermilk. I have one of those little splits on my finger. I'm trying to keep some of the paint out of it. Okay, so, oh, I do have another. I'd have to go over to my packages of makeup sponges. And again, I'm just going to pounce this on. And of course, you can use any base coat, any brush that you like to base coat with. I just find these work really well. Do you have those funny named ones? I will put them up in the group afterwards. But again, any of the pens work great, especially the archival ones, because they apparently are not supposed to come off when you seal them or get them wet. I'm going to do it one more coat on this. Now I'm not doing both sides of all these. You can see if they were going to show it all, then I would, but they're not going to show. They're going to be flat on the surface. No one's going to see the undersides. Oh, I bet you my sister's gone to Prince George. That's right. She was going to go, oh. Have I tried liquid bandage? You know I haven't, but I really should. I think of it every time I go to put a Band-Aid on it, because I do it, I'll get it on my thumb all the time, and it's, because I mean, my hands are just constantly in water, right? And I even put Vaseline, like I put Vaseline on my cuticles and everything to try and keep not too bad, and it really just does not work that great. So this is dry now. I did not score, so you can see on here where the stripes are. I did not score the stripes on. It's just so easy. I didn't bother. I figured you guys would have no problems figuring out the score lines. So I am going to, again, just very lightly sand this. And when I'm going to go around the edges a bit too. Just be careful when you're working on these really thin ones that you support it a bit so that you don't break them off. So I just wanted to get that nice and smooth. And I'm going to take my black out. And what brush will I use? Oh, so I'm going to use this one. This is Chris's number 8 flat. And I'm going to do the edge, and I'm going to do the stripes. Just want to see. Maybe I'll use one a little bit smaller than the 8. Yeah. I think I'm going to use, what's this one? The 6. So I think I'm going to use the 6. It'll give me just a little bit finer of a stripe. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the head. I'm just going to get this head done. And just kind of round the edge there. It's going to be covered by a bow. So just like that. And then we're going to do the stripes. And I'm going to use this number 6 flat. And just going to run my brush over the tail. And then I'm going to do the stripes. And if you want, you can take your chalk pencil or lead pencil and just line them on first if you're not comfortable doing it this way. So you can just take your chalk pencil and just line on where you want the stripes to be. I think I'm going to do them here. And I'll just fill this in. Oops. I went over. Bad on me. That's okay. I will fix that after. I'm going to do another one here. And now I'm not going to worry. These, again, are going to be those perfectly imperfect ones. Let's do another one up here. I'm going to dry this off. And you can see how the bee looks really light and it's supposed to be yellow, and that's going to come in when we shade it. And you can see the edges. This is not perfect. I don't want it to be perfect. If you do, go ahead. I like it nice and perfect. So I'm just going to grab my brush. Come here. And some of this white, and I'm going to fix that edge a little bit. I got a little carried away. I'll just dry this up a bit. Hi, Marie. Yeah, rustic. Rustic. You can see on this one how it's all uneven and like it's not perfect. And that's exactly what I want. Then I'm going to take my sander again, and I want to sand it again lightly, but you can see how it dullens and really softens that black compared to this other. So that's what I want. I'm going to end up doing it a little bit too much, and I'm going to come back and add a little bit more black to it, but I wanted it to go like this. I'm just going to come back with my brush. And just add a little bit more black. If you sand too much, don't worry about it. Just add a little bit more black to it. But I'm not going to fill it all in and have it looking like a perfect stripe. I don't want it to. Okay. Just like that. Move that over there. Going to move some of these out of the way. Okay, now we're going to shade it. And when we shade it, so around the edges where we sanded, and I think I might give it another just little sanding. Okay, so I'm going to go over this. I want to shade this now. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take out some yellow ochre. If you don't have yellow ochre, you can use moon yellow, just a nice soft yellow. I like yellow ochre because it's not quite as bright. I'm going to pick up some yellow ochre, and we're going to dance some of this color again. So I'm going to start up quite high and dance down to this stripe like that. Again, I'm going to start out quite high and just dance down to that stripe. Like that. I'm going to dry it, and we're going to add a little bit of raw sienna to it. I wonder if my sister left. I didn't tell her. I get to tell her what I wanted. I'm gonna have to phone her after the class and say, look for me. I think it's like an hour drive to where she's going shopping in Prince George, the big city. So again, I'm using this raw sienna and I am just dancing a little bit of this color in here. And again, when I dance, I barely touch the surface, barely let my brush touch the surface. But you can see how now it's added all that color to the bee. See? So now we have really nice color to this bee. Now I wanted to add a little bit of detail to the lighter stripes on the bee. So I added a little bit of the honeycomb. Where is the honeycomb? I'm a good girl, and I put it back. Now, you can find a color that works for you. I used the walnut stain on it. If you're going to do it, I would maybe use raw sienna. If you don't have this, the distress ink or distress oxide, I would use raw sienna very, very lightly. And I'm okay if it gets on the black because I can take a little bit of my, a little Q-tip and remove it. See, that's going to be too dark. I pressed too hard. So I'm going to take, oh, I'm going to bring this down a little bit too. I'm going to take my Q-tip, make sure that it doesn't have any on the black. I'm going to dry it off, and then I'm just going to sand this really softly. So that is way too dark for me. I don't like it that dark. I press too hard, ladies. See, even we do it. I'm probably going to end up adding a little bit more shading just because I sanded it a bit. I'm going to go back in with my raw sienna. And just shade it just a little bit. Dry that off. My hair dryer is all twisty. Does anybody else's hair dryer wire get all twisty? I'm sitting here trying to untwist it. Okay. Now I want to take my liner. We're just going to add, again, a little bit more interest to this. Put those over there. So I'm going to take my liner and I'm going to take my black. And you can use asphaltum if you want, especially if you're really heavy, or you can use your liner, your pen. I just want to add a little bit. Just before I do that, you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I want to add just a little bit of light buttermilk here. Can never just be happy. My sister would be going, oh my God, just leave it alone. Fortunately, she's not here to yell at me. I think I want to add just a little bit of light buttermilk under this stripe. It's kind of in the middle. There. There, that's what I wanted. So I just thought it was looking too one-dimensional, so I added a little highlight just kind of under the stripe going into the center a bit. Now I'm going to take, this is I'm using the liner, you can use the pen, but I want to add a little bit of kind of broken stripe above this line, like that. A few little cross hatches. And then I'm going to take my walnut stain and just kind of go around these edges like this. And my brush, and just brush it in a little bit. This is our little bee so far, but I think I want to splatter it a little bit so that the game just adds a little bit more interest to it. All about the interest. So I'm going to pick up just a little bit of that light buttermilk that I had, and I'm just going to really softly. It's harder than you think to splatter with a Band-Aid on your finger. So there. So I added just a little bit of splatter, very, very, very softly to the bee. But you see how he's very, very rusticy looking? See, he's going to have his wings like that. He's going to be very cute. I want to add just a little white highlight just around his head. So I'm going to take my warm white, or you can use vintage white, whichever white you're using. Oops, well, that went a little nuts, didn't it? To add this. I'm just adding a little bit of white just around the top there. Okay, now our little bee is mostly finished. We're just going to put him there. Now we've got the heart to do and the beehive to do. So the beehive, oops. The beehive I'm going to do in Moon Yellow again. I'm going to take some Moon Yellow. See if I have any. Oh, I do have one left that I have out. I'm going to base coat this or sponge it down with Moon Yellow. I like this project because there was a lot of painting to it, and haven't been doing quite as much painting in some of my projects as I've been doing crafting. So this one had a lot more painting to it. Dry it off. Yes, the baby wipes will remove any of the stamping so easily. Baby wipes are good for so many things. Again, I'm going to do just a really light sand on here. Go around those edges just a little bit. And then get a clean piece of paper towel out. Okay, now this is just some shading now. That's all that's involved with it. So this is moon yellow. Now, first thing I want to do is I just want to highlight a little bit in the middle. So I'm going to take some light buttermilk. Put that there. And so I'm just going to use one of my stipple brushes and pick up a little bit of that light yellow. Make sure I take most of it off. And then I'm going to just pounce a little bit of this light yellow in the middle. And make sure you pounce it, don't rub it on. I like it to look when it pounces. Okay, so all we did was we just sort of lightened it a little bit in the middle. Now I'm going to take my angle brush and I'm going to do some shading. Move that aside. Oops, and we're going to go back into the yellows again, just the yellow, the true ochre, the raw sienna, maybe a little dab of burnt sienna. We don't need much. And we're just going to shape our beehive. So I'm going to start with the true ochre. So I'm going to wiggle this. So I'm going to take my brush, I'm going to lay it flat on the surface. I'm going to dance it, but I'm going to wiggle it into these layers, or yeah, I guess the layers, the beehive has the layers on it. So I'm going to wiggle my brush into these layers, and that's how I'm going to shape them, by just dancing my brush into them. I don't want them to be these perfectly even things that go like this, layers. I want them kind of wiggled and uneven. So I'm dancing my brush into them. And then I'm going to do the other side just the same way. I'm going to dance up the side first on this one. I need a little bit more water. I'm just kind of dancing a few layers on. We dry this and then I can show you how we ended up making layers just by dancing the brush a little bit. So you can see how we've made layers by dancing this brush a little bit. I want to do the same thing with the raw sienna. Just want to add a little bit more color and depth to these layers. Again, just by dancing this brush a little bit. Ah! I think I'll get out my handy dandy little Q-tip. I had a little bit too much the edge of the brush there. There. And again, I really am just kind of dancing this brush into some of these layers. If you want, it's really perfect layers, just take your brush and you can go like this. If you want these more uneven, you know, kind of natural rusticy looking layers, and just kind of dance your brush into where you think the layers should be. See, don't you think that looks good? Yeah, I can. Thanks, Keiko. I have trimmed off the end of a sponge and, you know, reused it or used the side of it. Yeah, but I just not doing that today. So I've done that. Now I'm going to take the walnut stain and I'm going to go down these edges. I'm going to get a fresh one. Down these edges with the walnut stain. Just like that. And then we have our little beehive. We're going to put that aside. We're going to get the heart out. This is the heart. Now, you can paint it any red you like. I did mine in Rookwood Red. And I just base coated it in Rookwood Red. And again, just use the sponge. Probably horrible for the environment because then we're going to throw the sponges away instead of just washing a brush. But now you can shade this two ways. You can use your black soot distress ink, which looks really cool, or you can use, oops, not that, black plum. Where's my black plum? Even bring it. Or you can use Decor Black Plum to shade it. I'm just going to use my black soot to shade it. And I'm just going to go down one side. Sorry, just like that. And then I'm going to sand it. I'm just going to give it a really light little sand. Excuse me. These made me sick. See, like that. That's all there is to the heart. There isn't anything to it. Sorry. And now just the tag we have left to do. So it is this really cute little tag. See, very tiny. And you can take desert sand, antique white, bleach sand is a little bit too light. So any of those kind of sand. Oh, I need a drink. Got a tickle in my throat from coughing so much. Roxanne, what are you doing? I know, honey. Are you on your way to Prince George, Roxanne? I didn't show you what I wanted you to look for me. I'm almost out of desert sand too. Desert sand and bleach sand, two of my favorite colors. So I really do have to go and find them. Okay. Oh, you're on your way to Prince George? Did I show you what I wanted? Did you see what I wanted, honey? Can I buy those for you? You mean bleak sand or desert sand? Honey, if you can find those, are you going to Michael's? I don't think they have them there, but yeah, okay. If you can find desert sand or bleach sand, honey, grab me as many as you can. You'll want one for you too, but grab me as many as you can. And then when you go to Dollarama, I have to show you what I want at Dollarama. And it's in where they have their envelopes and their bubble wrap. So you have to find that. It's usually at the end of some aisle. And they're packages of this cardboard. And they're, I don't know, they're 16 in a package. Okay? 16 in a package. And that's where they'll be if they're there. I appreciate it, honey. Safe travels. You don't have any snow, honey? You keep asking. See, I'm not getting you asking to be let in. Isn't that weird? It's not coming up. You were supposed to be able to just automatically join me. Huh. So we may have to work on this part of the live where you can come in and join me. Okay, honey? Sorry. It said you would just automatically be able to come in. Now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to rough up this edge a little bit. And I'm also going to lightly sand it. Just looks a little bit more, you know, worn, a little aged if you do that. Going to go around the edges, and I'll use the walnut stain. Just going to do that. But any of these things, if you're shading, you can shade with asphaltum. If you want it a little bit rustier looking, you can use, you know, the traditional burnt umber or burnt umber. Anything like that is fine. Now I'm going to write pollen keeper in here. And I'm just going to use my pen. You can, of course, use your liner if you want. Pollen keeper. Just adding some little dots. Pollen keeper. Okay. Like that. Now I have on, here it is, on the stamp set. Look at these little bees. Aren't these adorable? Anyway, you can use the little bee that's there. That's, I think, is so cute. And just come on here. And really, you can use any color to stamp him on. I'm going to dry that off. Now, the only thing that we have left to do is I want to take these sunflowers. If I can find them. And we just want to finish these off because they're still really kind of plain looking. I want to take my shader and I just kind of want to go over some of these edges a little bit, just add a little bit more color to some of these. And I'm just randomly just kind of dancing a little bit more color on them. And then with the raw sienna, I'm using kind of just some burnt sienna, maybe a little bit of raw sienna, just to add a little bit more color to them. But I'm going to take that same little, just dabbed in a little bit of raw sienna, a little bit of burnt sienna, and I'm going to go around this edge of the button here where it touches the surface. And I'm going to kind of wiggle my brush around. And it's just shading around that button. So again, I'm just going to add a little bit more color where I think it might need it. And then also go around where the button touches the sunflower. And then, see, it's the difference between what we've just done. So it just really perks them up and finishes them off really nice. And remember, these are not supposed to look like, you know, perfect sunflowers that you see. This is just my idea. This is how I like to do my sunflowers. We're going to go just around that button. Kind of dancing it, kind of pulling out some of those lines a bit. Hi, Jade. Jade, hi, honey. My daughter's watching too. Hi, sweetie. Are you still there? You run off, probably pops in for a minute. Thank you, Denise. She says she likes my sunflowers. But just remember to really just dance the color on these sunflowers. Put that away. Put some of this away. We don't get too messy here. We're starting to get a little pile of stuff here. And we don't want that. Now I'm going to take my liner and my light buttermilk, and I'm just going to add a few striations and some dots. I will also want a little dab of black. Okay, so I'm going to take my light buttermilk first. Again, you can use any of the whites. And I'm just going to add just some really light striations coming from the button. I love this piece that is going in my kitchen because I think it's perfect for my bright sunny kitchen. So again, I'm just pulling them from the button, just a few, and you can see I'm kind of curving them. So I don't want them just straight lines. I'm curving them to the shape of the petals. Now, barring any horrible weather anywhere, those who have just ordered the sunflowers, I'm thinking it'll probably take around 7 business days. And it also depends on where you live. If you're West Coast, you're going to get it very quickly because I'm West Coast. If you're East Coast, if you're down in Texas or whatever, it's going to take longer. And there's nothing I can do about that. I'm going to pick up some light buttermilk and I'm going to add just some really tiny little dots. And just random little dots. This class I'm going to put in guides, so it'll always be there. You can go back and watch it, stop it, start it again. You know, repeat if you're trying to figure out how I did something. Just going to add a few little dots to this. And again, just, you know, a little bit more detail that I feel compelled to add. He's adding little details. You can see it's just random. Just add a few on each little petal, but they're really tiny dots. So make sure that you do yours nice and tiny. And then I'm going to take the black and I want to add some black ones in. If you have a really tiny one, I have a really tiny one, I'm going to use the really tiny tip for these black ones. And I might just add one or two there. And I'm just going to go around and randomly just add some of these in the black. I think they look so pretty. Remember, it is all about just playing. Start off with just really light or barely any color. And then just keep adding. Okay, oh, so those are done. And just while those dots are drying, I gave everybody a few of these. And these are the honeycombs that were, when we cut it, were taken out of here. You should see we have bags and bags and bags of these. I'll be using them in some other pieces. Yes, so just about everything I've used is Deco Art paint. The colors are listed in the pattern, and and also some substitutes. So if you don't have some colors, you can find it somewhere else. Thank you, Roxanne. Now I am going to go back and I'm going to just do these honeycombs like I had before when we did the actual honeycombs. I'm just going to use some yellow ochre, just some of these colors that I have here. Worth a little pouncer. I'm just going to pick up some yellow ochre, pounce it on. And you can actually put this on tape while you're doing it, just to keep it still. I could go and get my double tape out, but I'm okay. But you can use double-sided tape and put these on, and it'll keep them really still for you. So that was yellow ochre, and I'm just really going to take some true ochre, some raw sienna, and some burnt sienna, and pounce it on here and there. I'm going to use the same dirty brush. I'm just going to take off the excess. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the true ochre, and I'm just going to pounce a little bit of it on. There is no right or wrong. I'm just pouncing a bit of it on. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the raw sienna. I'm going to pounce a little bit of it on. See, seriously, it's just pounced on. And then I'm going to pick up a little bit of the burnt sienna and just finish it off with a little bit of the burnt sienna. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. I just added a little bit of color to it. I'm going to dry it, and then I actually am going to just really lightly sand it. Now, if you think you've done it too dark, you don't like something about it, you can splatter it, right? Or you can, where's my brush? You can pick up a little bit of the light buttermilk. Let me see. And you can either splatter it or dot a little bit of the light buttermilk on. There is no wrong, there is no right. There. So we've done all the painting. So all the painting, everything is done. Now we can just put this together. So let's clean off our surface here so that, you know, I don't get all messed up and everything looks good. We're organized. I just make myself laugh sometimes when I say that because I am the worst. So if you don't have oatmeal, by the way, if you don't have oatmeal, you can use, this is soft sage. So this is discontinued, of course, but this is beautiful color, and it'll be perfect on this if you have any of the soft sage. If you don't have soft sage, take your celery green, add a little bit of warm white or bleach sand to it just to soften it a bit. And that you can use that. And if you still think it looks a little bit too dark, then sand it a bit and it'll soften it even more. But I will put that in the instructions, in the other instructions. Okay, so we can start putting this together. So I actually want to go around the edge here. I want to distress it. So I'm going to go with my old paper first. So this is old paper. If you don't have it, just pick something a little bit darker than what you've used for your background. I like this green. It's old paper. It's got a green to it. So it looks really cool. So you can use like medium or Hauser medium green to do the shading. Again, just make sure you take most of it off, and because you can come back, and add more shading, but you can't take it off once if you've put too much on. Okay. So I've just gone around the edge with the old paper. Now I'm going to take some of this walnut stain, and you don't have to do this. And I'm just going to add a little bit of it to the edges. I went around those edges like that. That's it. So the first thing that we have to do is put our honeycomb on. Now I took my honeycomb and I actually kind of cut a few little pieces off of it. Just to, shape it a little bit. I mean, you don't have to do that, right? Just stick it on like that. But if you want, you can take a cutter. I think even scissors will take it off. I'm gonna just see. See, just can take some scissors if you want and just shape it a little bit. Don't take too much off, but if you decide you want to shape it a bit, you can cut some off. Let's see where. And it's totally up to you if you want to shape yours or not. I'm going to cut these little edges off though, I think. Again, this is up to you. I'm giving you I think it's a 6-inch rectangle, and it's up to you if you want to shape it or not, or if you just want to leave it as a rectangle. I like pulling a couple of them out. See, just cut a couple of them out. And it just kind of adds a little bit more interest to it. Most of it's covered up, right? Most of the edge is covered up. So you don't really have to do that, but I just thought it looked kind of neat. So I'm just going to see where I want to position it. Yes, the instructions are going to be going in. I just kind of really wanted to do it first before I put the instructions in. Now I've done it, so I will. So I'm going to use this art. It's called Art Glitter. That's the brand. There's no glitter in this glue. It's just the brand of it. And now you can take a sponge and dip your sponge into this and then sponge this glue on too. I'm just doing this. And I think I'll just put it in here like this. Hold that down. This dries, fortunately, very, very, very fast. And depending on how you've cut it, that'll be how you're going to place it. So you can see I've just kind of made it even, a little bit more even, maybe a little tiny bit more to the left, like that. Now I'm going to take my honeycomb, and it uses the heart, and everybody is given this little piece of fabric that's going to go along the bottom. Now I may have made them wider. I'd rather give you too much than not enough, right? So I think I'm going to just trim mine a little bit. I didn't want it to come up too high. And then I like to fray the edge. Now this is going to go right along here. So I'm just going to glue it. I'm going to use my glue gun. And I'm just going to glue this on the bottom. Like that. And then around the back. I love it when we start to put it all together. Okay. And then I'm going to take, come here, you get, things are getting stuck to my Band-Aid. Okay. And then I have the heart. Now, if you want, I didn't, but if you want, you can take a little piece of string or whatever, and you can tie it through the holes. like that. And then we have the keeper of the pollen. Now, I used a little safety pin that I had to do it. I don't have like 75 of these safety pins, so I gave everybody a little tiny button to instead. So I'm going to use the little button instead. I'm just going to take my old paper, distress ink, and I'm going to just dirty it up with a little bit of this. And again, if you don't have this, just use some one of the greens that you've been using to shade with. Or you can sit there and you can do raw sienna instead. I just put the green. So it's going to go like this. So I'm going to glue that on. I'm going to cut this off though. I'm going to stick that on there, and the button also. And then it's going to go on here. So I'm going to glue that on. It's going to wiggle it on like that. And this is going to go down here. I'm just going to put that aside for a minute while I glue the wings on and make the bow. While that's drying, we're going to make the bow. I'm just going to take my Bodabra and a little bit of string. I just use burlap string. Put it through. Now everybody is given a little pack like this. Yeah, shaping does make it a little bit more like a honeycomb, doesn't it? I like it being shaped. Okay, so I have 3 different colors here. And again, just make sure that it isn't too wide, because these are just little bows, because it's a little bee, so we don't want it to overwhelm it. And I'm just doing 1 loop on each side like that. So I'm doing that one, and then I'm doing the unbleached cotton. And then I'm doing this really pretty honeycomb, but I think this honeycomb is a little bit too wide. It's wider than I want. So I'm going to just cut it a little bit thinner. So don't be afraid to just cut them a little bit thinner. Again, you don't want to overwhelm the bee because the bow is so huge. So I think before I do that, I'm going to rough up this edge. Just fray it a little bit. My finger. There. Okay. going to trim these back before I tie it. Just want to push this down flat. Tie it. And I'm going to take this off. Now, if my sister was here, she'd be going, stop fiddling with the bow. Why are you fiddling with the bow? Well, sometimes you got to fiddle with the bow. Now, this is, of course, going to be too big, so I'm going to trim some of this back. And the bow is going to go in here. But see how I think these are a little bit too long. So I'm going to trim them away a bit. And this loop is too big, so I'm going to try and pull it and make it a little bit smaller. And then I can trim everything else away. Okay, that's going to be fine. I'm just going to trim some of this away, make it a little bit shorter. I'm going to glue this on in the center of his wings there. Turn that one a little bit more. And then I'm going to take, now everybody got a little chunk of this. Here it is. This is the cheesecloth, and it's just a little piece of cheesecloth, but this is too big. I'm going to just cut it in half. So just take yours, and it's going to be too much. You can cut it in half. I just would rather give everybody too much than not enough. I'm going to sort of take it, gather it in the middle, and just glue it down in the middle here. There, Roxanne, are you proud of me? I didn't sit and fiddle dick around with this too much. And then I'm going to take a little rusty bell, and I'm going to glue it in the middle. There. Isn't it cute? Okay. And then I'm going to take these are antennas, so you're going to get some, it's called rusty wire, but really it's just brown wrapped floral wire. You're going to take this, and I wrapped mine. Like I wanted it to look a little bit twistedy, see, curled. So I also gave you way too much of this. So you will cut these. Careful when you put it in that you don't wreck his head. Okay. Now, if you want, you can take, I just took like a ball stylus because it's really little, and wrapped it around. And I did the same thing with the other one. And then I just trimmed it off. Now I'm going to take this end and curl it a little bit more. So there's our bee, and it is going to go on up here. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to add a bit like that. And the bee will go in here. That is going to take a minute to dry. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm going to take our sunflowers and I laid them like this. I think I'll bring them down just a little bit like that. So I'm going to put a bit in there. This one, so you can decide if you want to lay it on the side flat on the surface and then like that, or if you want them gathered more together. So I'm going to gather mine a little bit more together. So I'm going to stick that one there, and then same thing with this one. I'm going to stick it like this. Turn that into the sunflower just a little bit. Like that. And then I took, and then we have these little pieces here. Now, and you don't have to do this, you can just randomly find a hive or a comb opening and stick it in. Now they came out, so you'd think they would go in really neatly, but they don't necessarily go in perfect. You have to find one that it'll just slide right into really nice. Well, it's not going to be that one, is it? These really should, I think it says Band-Aid that's throwing me off here. They should just, there, slide in. Yeah, this is going to be a pain. There. See, and I like how it looks when you add these little pieces of honeycomb. Just adds a little bit more to it. If you don't want to put them right in the hive, you can literally put them along the side here too. Doesn't matter. You are the designer. You can use your imagination and put them where you think you would like them. Come here. You're going to go in? Yes. Okay. So there. So you can, again, you can put these anywhere you want. You can add some to the side if you want. If you don't want to, you don't have to. So now I'm going to look at this and I'm going to see if there's anything I want to do. I think it's a little plain right here. And this is just my opinion. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of light buttermilk. I did not do this on the original one, but I'm going to do it on this one. And I think because the honeycomb is a little bit over on this one, so this looks just a little bit more empty. So I am going to just finish it off with one of the wiggly broken lines. Again, I'm just wiggling this on, adding some cross hatches. And I'll carry it up around here a little bit. And this isn't a big standout thing. I don't want to make this a big focal point. It's just to add a little bit of more interest and detail to the piece. Kind of fill in this space right here a bit. And I'd like to just kind of wiggle my lines over. And you can do this or not. It depends on where you place your honeycomb. There. So there is our little bee. Oh, so I actually had a little bit of Sweet Annie. Did not include this in the kit. I don't ship dried flowers and things over the border, just because I don't want to get into trouble. So I did take a little bit of Sweet Annie. Took a little bit of glue on. And I put it in here. Get a little bit more glue for my glue gun. There, just add a little bit of Sweet Annie to it. Now, if you want, I did not do this because some people will just use this as a shelf sitter. Some will hang it, so I did not put a hanging hole in it. Bye, Claudia. Thank you for watching. You go get better really soon. So you can drill one hole in the middle if you just want one, or you can draw a couple of holes. Again, it's up to you. I did not do that because I know some people will use this as a shelf sitter and some will hang it. So there is our adorable little bee. I'm just going to bring this up to me. Whoop. Ugh. Am I upside down? Make sure I'm not upside down. I am upside down. You just never know what it's going to do. Okay, hi. Thanks everybody for watching today. I appreciate everybody so much. Again, keeper of the bee. Sure it's all done here. Just a sec. I just want to. I think I'm going to just make sure that is really on good. And same with this one. Sorry, I just want to make sure that is on properly. So here we are, keeper of the pollen. Quite far away, aren't I? Here, quite close. So there it is, upside down. Keeper of the pollen. I just love this little piece. I think it is so cute. This is going to go in my kitchen because it's just so summery and makes me happy. This is the original. And you can see this one. I moved over a little bit. But anyway, keeper of the pollen. I hope, oops, let's go up to here. These are all being shipped. They will go out some will go out tomorrow, some will go out Sunday. Now, it's a long weekend here in Canada, so they obviously going to be an extra day, right? And I think, is it a long weekend this weekend in the States? my American little friends? Or is President's Day next weekend? So that might delay it a day, right? If there is a holiday in there. Yeah, it is. Is it this weekend? My lady is going to answer me. Denise, is it this weekend? This weekend. Yay. So it's Monday. So that works out perfect. So we're not running into one holiday here and then next weekend another holiday for you guys. And us here in Canada. So these will go out tomorrow and Sunday. So I don't know when post office might not even, or the whatever, the flight might not even pick them up until Tuesday. So I'm really not sure how that works. Thanks everybody for watching. Again, they're all going out. If you order just the bee, I will be sending everybody an invoice for the shipping when they're sent out. I probably wait a day or two. It's a lot of them, and I have to hand type them all in. So you'll, and it's like, you'll get them next week. Not this one coming, like, today's what? Today's Saturday? Yeah, Saturday. So not like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, but the week after you'll get them all. Some people on the West Coast might even get them next week. But thank you all for joining me. If you have any questions, please let me know. And you can, again, watch the video over and over again. Just to, kind of figure it out. If there's something you can't figure out, please just let me know. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you later. Have a great weekend. Bye.